Danny is not a normal man, and the truth is, he never had the chance to become one. From the outside, he appears quiet, distant, and emotionally disconnected, almost like someone who has never fully understood how to exist in the world around him. He rarely speaks, and when he does, his words feel simple, almost childlike, as if language itself is something unfamiliar to him. He avoids eye contact, keeps his body still, and reacts to situations with a strange mix of hesitation and obedience. There is something deeply unnatural about him, something that immediately tells you that his life has not followed the path of an ordinary human being. So the movie begins with a man named Danny the dog who lives a very different life from normal people. He has a collar around his neck, and when this collar is removed, he becomes extremely dangerous and ruthless. Danny has been trained since childhood to fight and hurt people, just like a machine. His owner, Victor, uses him as a weapon to extort money from those who owe him. When someone refuses to pay Victor back, he simply removes Danny's collar, and Danny brutally attacks them until Victor gets his money. But once Victor puts the collar back on Danny, Danny becomes a completely calm and good boy. As long as he wears the collar, he won't hurt anyone. During the fight, Danny suffers serious injuries, but he feels no pain at all because Victor has trained him to ignore the pain. Victor treats Danny worse than an animal. He shows him no respect. He doesn't provide a proper room to sleep. Instead, Danny has to sleep in a cage, just like a dog. One day, after a fight, Danny's head is bleeding heavily. Victor's man tells him that Danny is injured, but Victor coldly says, just give him a band-aid and he'll do it himself. Poor Danny's mind is like that of a child, and we can feel that he doesn't even know how to apply a band-aid, because he's never seen the outside world. He's spent his entire life confined, completely alone. He hasn't even spoken to anyone. One night, Danny finds a book in his closet filled with alphabets and drawings. As he flips through the pages and looks at the pictures, he sees a drawing of a piano. When Danny touches the drawing, something stirs inside him, as if he has some old connection with that piano. The next morning, Victor takes Danny to a boxing club owner to collect his money. The owner also brings a strong wrestler, hoping Victor will get scared and run. But when Danny easily defeats the club's top fighters, even the strong wrestler backs off and tells his boss to just give him the money. Everyone is terrified of what Danny might do to them. Victor then takes him to a very dangerous man who smuggles diamonds. Victor politely asks him to return his money, knowing he's smart and powerful. But when the man refuses, Victor decides to make another move and unleash Danny on them. But this man already knows that Danny won't do anything unless his collar is removed, and if Danny's collar is removed, they'll all be dead. So they catch Victor before he can release Danny. His men brutally beat Victor. But Danny doesn't react because he's still wearing the collar. He's been trained to only attack once the collar is removed. When Victor's condition worsens, the smuggler orders his men to kill Victor first, then Danny. And he leaves to deal with the business. Victor barely escapes them and goes to Danny, takes off his collar, and orders him to kill them all. As soon as the collar is removed, Danny transforms into a beast. He turns into a monster and attacks all the gangsters, beating them each to death. Victor then takes Danny to where the smuggler was dealing with the business. Danny grabs the man and beats him without mercy. Even his arrogance vanishes. He begs Victor to take whatever he wants, just spare his life. Victor knew this man smuggled diamonds and gold, so he steals all the valuables from his bag. A man named Tom was watching the fight from a distance. He is deeply impressed by Danny's fighting skills. Meanwhile, Victor gets gold and diamonds instead of money, but he is still furious with Danny because when the gangsters were beating Victor, Danny just stood there watching. Victor scolds Danny again, saying they were killing me and you stood there watching like an animal. You're a human animal, and you will always remain an animal. A few days later, Victor needs Danny again to get his money back. But now Victor is afraid that Danny might make another mistake. So he makes a complete plan in advance. He takes Danny to the location and explains first. I'll go and demand the money if they don't pay. I'll press a red button on the remote. This red light will come on and you must immediately enter and start killing everyone inside. Victor repeats this several times to make sure the idea is in Danny's mind that the red light means he must enter. Then he goes inside with his men, while Danny stands outside, staring at the light. Time passes, but the bulb doesn't light. While waiting, Danny's eyes fall on a piano nearby. He had seen a drawing of a piano in his book a few days earlier and felt a strange attraction to it. He still feels the same attraction, and he reaches out to touch it. Just then, a man comes from behind. His name is Sam and he's blind. Sam calls Danny over and asks his name, but Danny doesn't respond. Sam explains that he's a piano tuner who's come to repair a piano and needs Danny's help. He tells Danny to press the keys when he tells him to. Sam goes to the other side of the piano to listen while Danny presses the keys. During this time, Danny is having so much fun playing the piano that he forgets to focus on his mission. He didn't even notice the red light. Sam tells him he hears a ticking sound somewhere and asks Danny if he can hear it too. Hearing this, Danny quickly looks at the red light that's on. He immediately runs to Victor, but it's too late. The gangsters had beaten Victor very badly, and Victor was very angry about this, having been pressing that button for the past half hour as punishment. Victor takes Danny back to his hideout and locks him in a cage. He's thinking what punishment to give him. Just then, one of Victor's men arrives, claiming that a wealthy man wants to meet with him to discuss a good business deal. The visitor is actually Tom, the same man who previously saw Danny fight. Tom tells Victor that he's seen Danny's fighting skills and wants to make a deal. He organizes a monthly fight where the winner is paid more than Victor can even imagine. But these fights are illegal and brutal. To win, the other fighter must be killed. Victor, already furious with Danny, was thinking about a severe punishment when Tom's offer arrived, and he angrily accepted. Even if Danny dies, so be it. Victor no longer cared. The next morning, Victor takes Danny to the fight venue. There, Tom shows him his fighter, who has won the last 15 matches. He was much bigger than Danny in height and size and looked quite dangerous. But when the match begins, Victor removes Danny's collar and tells him to show his power. Danny charges forward at full speed and delivers a punch to the fighter's throat. A powerful punch that puts him to sleep forever in a single second. All onlookers are stunned. Even Tom, the organizer, can't believe the fight is over before it even begins. Victor receives his payment as promised. He is overjoyed as the money equals his entire year's earnings. He decides to keep bringing Danny there every month. He will continue to earn so much money and become rich. In his joy, Victor asks Danny, "Tell me, what do you want today?" Danny remains silent for a moment, then says, "I want a piano." Victor mocks him, asking, "What are you going to do with a piano?" While they're talking, their car suddenly collides with a truck, causing it to overturn. Several men emerge with weapons and open fire on them. They were all men of the gold smuggler Danny had beaten a few days earlier. Everyone dies in the attack, except Danny, who escapes and heads straight to the spot where he first met Sam. Sam, still sitting there repairing the piano, hears Danny's footsteps and realizes it's Danny. He is badly injured and faints from blood loss. When Danny wakes up, he finds himself on a bed. Victor used to make him sleep on the floor in a cage. This was his first time sleeping on a bed. Terrified, he jumps out of bed and hides under the bed. A little while later, Sam arrives and immediately realizes Danny is scared. He quietly places Danny's food under the bed and leaves. A few days pass like this. Danny doesn't come out of his room. One day, when he finally comes out, he sees Sam repairing a piano. But when his eyes fall on Sam's stepdaughter, Victoria, he runs back into his room. Fright! She also understands that Danny is behaving like a small child at this time. He is a special person, so she asks Sam what Danny likes. Sam tells her that Danny loves using. Hearing this, Victoria quickly picks up a small piano and takes it to Danny's room. He was hiding under the bed all this time. She gives him the piano and leaves. Later, when Sam and Victoria are having dinner, Danny comes out with the piano. Sam invites him, saying, "Come and eat together with us, Danny." Danny sits down with him, but his eating habits are very strange. He's eating like a dog, not like human. Victoria realizes that Danny doesn't know how to eat. She teaches him how to eat with a spoon and fork, but Danny behaves like a child. After dinner, when Danny goes to his room to sleep, Sam comes over and tries to remove the collar from his neck. But as soon as Sam reaches out, Danny quickly stops him. Danny knows that if the collar comes off, he will lose control and accidentally hurt Sam or Victoria. Sam doesn't force him, saying he will remove Danny's collar when he's ready. The next morning, Sam takes Danny to the market. He teaches him how to meet people, shop, and handle normal routines. When they return home after shopping, Sam teaches Danny how to cook. It's evening, and Sam tells him that it's time for Victoria to return from college and that he should pick her up today and bring her back home. Following his instructions, Danny goes to her college to pick her up, as he's dropped her off with Sam many times, so he knows the way. Victoria is delighted to see him and treats Danny to ice cream on the way. She even takes him to the cinema and teaches him to play the piano. Danny is learning new things and meeting new people. He's enjoying his new life. One day, Victoria approaches Danny and while talking, tries to pull off his collar. The moment she touches him, Danny becomes frightened. He's afraid he might kill Victoria. Victoria tells him, "You've left your old life behind. You've forgotten it. So what's there to be afraid of? Now, to completely erase your old life, you just have to take off this collar." Hearing this, Danny doesn't say anything, and Victoria finally removes his collar. Nothing happens after the collar is removed. Danny has learned to control himself. The next morning, Sam takes Danny to the market again for shopping. Suddenly, some gangsters enter the market and start destroying everything. Everyone panic. The Danny stands there, not even turning back to watch the fight. And when the gangsters come to fight him, Danny defeats them, one by one. Sam takes Danny home and asks Danny how he did all that. Here, Danny tells them his story for the first time. He tells them about his family and how he has no one in this world. He was raised by a man named Victor. It would be more accurate to say that he has kept and trained him like a dog. Hearing this, both Victoria and Sam are deeply saddened, realizing that Danny has been badly abused. Then, at night, Sam takes Danny to work, where they repair pianos together. After finishing work, Sam gives Danny money, saying, "You helped repair the piano, and this is your money. You can buy whatever you want with." Danny goes straight to the shopping mall and buys things for himself. As soon as Danny leaves the shopping mall to go home, one of Victor's men appears before him. Danny is shocked when he sees him. The man recognizes. He says, "Where have you been all these days? We've been searching for you for so long. Finally, we found you. Come home with me. If you don't come home peacefully, the boss will send gangsters to find you, and your life will be in trouble." It turns out that Victor didn't actually die in the accident that day. Victor is overjoyed to see Danny this time, as Danny is a major source of his wealth. Victor puts a collar around Danny's neck again and takes him to a fight. They meet Tom, who says that today's fight will be even more exciting because dangerous weapons will be used. Victor doesn't care who the opponent is, because he knows he has trained Danny well and that Danny can't lose to a human. Victor grabs Danny's collar and tells him to kill the fighter. But Danny is in no mood for a fight today. He was taught by Sam and Victoria that harming anyone is bad. Hearing this, Victor becomes angry and pushes Danny into the fighting ring. The deadly fighter immediately attacks Danny. But instead of fighting back, Danny simply defends. Tom asks Victor, "What is your fighter doing? He's not even fighting." In time, Victor picks up an axe and throws it down, telling Danny to kill him. But Danny doesn't pick up the axe because he doesn't want to kill anyone. Taking this opportunity, the other fighter picks up an axe and is about to attack Danny. But Danny easily defends himself despite the opponent's axe. Tom becomes even more angry and tells Victor that he's going to make this fight even more exciting. He sends several more fighters into the ring, increasing the danger for Danny. Together they brutally beat Danny. Danny's patience is completely shattered, and he returns to his former dangerous state. He tackles each fighter one by one. Tom throws weapons, but Danny is unfazed. Even the three fighters combined are unable to defeat Danny. He picks up a man and breaks one of the fighters' bones. Then he rains down punches on the other, leaving both of them completely exhausted. Seeing this, the third fighter gives up the fight in fear, and thus all three accept defeat, and Danny wins. But Victor and Tom 20. They wanted Danny to kill all three of them. If he didn't, Victor wouldn't get his money. In a fit of rage, Victor himself picks up a gun and kills the fighter in front of him. He had received the money, but now he was extremely angry with Danny because he wasn't following his orders. This way, he wouldn't get a single penny in the next fight. Angry, Victor takes Danny to his hideout, where his men brutally beat him up because he disobeyed Victor in the previous fight. Victor locks Danny in the cage again. Meanwhile, we see Sam and Victoria. They're both very worried about Danny, knowing he's innocent and hasn't gone anywhere. Danny, also trapped in the cage, misses Sam and Victoria and wants to be with them. He doesn't like this kind of life at all. He gathers his courage and decides to escape. He manages to get out of his cage and immediately goes to Victor's room. After searching, he finds many photographs. Among them, he finds a childhood photo of Danny standing with his mother. Danny immediately goes to Victor and tells him, "You said you picked me up on the side of the road, but how did you get my mother's photo?" Victor then tells Danny, "Okay, since you're asking, I'll tell you the whole truth. You want to know where your mother is, right? Your mother was a prostitute. She used to come to me often. She died after giving birth to you. I loved her, so I took pity on you and raised you." Hearing this, Danny understood that his mother couldn't be a prostitute. But Danny remained silent and left for now. The next morning, Victor was about to take Danny to the fighting arena. On the way, Danny yells and struggles. He twists the steering wheel, causing an accident. Danny then removes the collar from his neck and runs away to Sam and Victoria's house. He tells Victoria that he found a picture of his mother. When he shows Victoria the picture, she tells him that his mother came from a very good family, and that the picture suggests she was a piano teacher, as she's playing the piano in the picture. Sam was also there, listening. Sam asks Victoria to tell him everything she sees in the picture. When Victoria looks at the picture and explains everything, Sam reveals that Danny's mother had the picture taken in an auditorium, and he also tells them the name of the auditorium. The three of them go to the auditorium to gather more information about Danny's mother. There, an older librarian tells them that this woman came from China many years ago and played the piano very well, but one day she suddenly disappeared. She also had a son. Since her disappearance, no one has heard of her son. The old woman shows them a photograph of Danny's mother, clearly showing her face. Afterwards, they return home. At night, when Victoria enters Danny's room, she sees Danny looking at his mother's photo and remembering her. This makes Victoria emotional. She takes Danny's mother's photograph and examines it closely. In it, she discovers the music her mother used to play. Victoria begins to play the notes, telling Danny that this is the music her mother used to play. While playing the piano, Danny remembers many things. One day, in his childhood, when she was playing, a group of gangsters came there. Scared by them, her mother hid him in a closet. Then he saw that Victor was among the gangsters who had hurt her and then killed her. "I was hiding in the closet. I screamed in fear, and they caught me from there, and then he took me with them." After remembering all this, Danny understood that Victor was responsible for the conditions he had lived in and everything that had happened to his mother. He tells all this to Sam and Victoria. They too were terrified to hear this, and Danny says that a great danger is coming. "Just like he killed my mother, he will kill both of us now. Quickly pack up, we have to get out of here. They must be looking for me, and if they get here, they will kill both you and me." Now, as Sam, Danny, and Victoria leave the house, Victor's men also appear outside their house. Danny knew that these men would reach them quickly, so he hides them both inside a closet on another floor and then runs away to another room. When Danny realizes the situation is getting worse, he confronts the gangsters and begins fighting them, but they refuse to stop. It's as if Victor had sent the entire city's gangsters hunting for Danny. To save himself, Sam, and Victoria, he fights and kills them all. Seeing this, Victor sends forward his most dangerous fighter to kill Danny, and a fierce battle happens between the two. The fighter fights as if he knows all of Danny's weaknesses. Therefore, for the first time, it was a tough fight for Danny. He beats Danny badly, leaving him in a terrible state, but Danny refuses to give up until his last breath, finally overpowering the fighter and killing him. Seeing all his fighters killed, Victor becomes extremely angry, and now he himself comes to fight Danny. As soon as Victor sees Danny, he starts firing at him. But Danny somehow manages to escape, but Victor does not stop chasing him and goes straight to the house where Danny lived with Victoria and Sam. Victor finds Danny's collar on the ground, which makes Victor realize that Danny used to live there. Meanwhile, he also catches sight of Danny and points a gun at him, telling him, "This is not your home. You are meant for that cage." If you stay outside with anyone, you'll be a threat to them, just like you've been to these people. And now, because of you, these people are going to die too. But today I'm giving you a chance. If you come home with me, I'll let these people live." Sam and Victoria were listening to all this. Just as Victor was about to approach him, Danny grabbed his hand, broke it, and declared, "This is my house." With that, he began to brutally beat Victor. Danny's rage was at its peak. Today, he wanted to take revenge for himself and his mother. Before he could kill him, Victoria stepped in and stopped him, but Victor began to provoke him, reminding him of his mother. He spoke hurtful words and declared, "I used to abuse your mother every day." Hearing all this, Danny became angry again. Before he could fully kill Victor, Sam picked up a flower pot and smashed it on Victor's head, knocking him unconscious. Shortly after, the police arrived and arrested Victor and his associates and put him in jail, for Victor had killed Danny's mother, along with many others, and had ruined Danny's entire life. Higher life. Finally, all of Danny's fears were gone. He had found a new life. Danny was now very happy in his new life. In the movie's final scene, they go to see Victoria's music show, and Victoria dedicates her song to a special person. Danny happily tells Sam that she's saying this for him, and Sam smiles and says, "Not for me, but for you." Danny felt life and love for the first time. Tears well up in his eyes.